There is a moment in every person's life when they realize that nothing around them will change until something within them changes first, and that realization always circles back to one thing: self-belief. It is not simply a mindset or a motivational idea. It is the foundation upon which every achievement, every breakthrough, and every transformation is built. Without it, even the most talented people crumble under pressure, and with it, even the most unlikely individuals rise to heights nobody ever expected. And the truth is, self-belief is not born in comfort, it is born in discomfort, in those silent battles where you face your doubts alone, where you lie awake questioning your worth, your direction, and your ability to rise above the weight sitting on your chest. It's in those moments, not the easy ones, where the fire of belief must be built. Self-belief is choosing to see possibility when reality is trying to pull you in the opposite direction. Because life has a way of throwing shadows over the brightest dreams, making you think the mountain is too tall or the journey is too long. But when you develop a deep belief in yourself, you stop seeing the mountain as an obstacle and start seeing it as the training ground that will shape you into the version of yourself you've always needed to become. Self-belief doesn't remove the difficulty. It gives you the strength to face it. It doesn't eliminate the fear. It teaches you how to move despite it. It doesn't silence doubt. It teaches you to speak louder than the voice trying to hold you back. Many people wait for life to hand them confidence as if it arrives one day in a package marked, "Open when ready." But confidence is not something you receive. It is something you create through action. It is built every time you choose to show up when quitting seems easier, every time you confront a challenge you could have avoided, and every time you refuse to shrink when the world tries to convince you that you're too small. Self-belief grows through repetition, through the everyday decision to trust yourself a little more than you did yesterday. It grows through the difficult moments that force you to find out who you really are. And the irony is that the moments that make you feel the weakest are often the ones that build the strongest belief. There will always be voices around you that doubt, criticize, or misunderstand you. Some will come from strangers, some from people you know, and some from the echo of your own insecurities. But self-belief means refusing to let those voices have the final say. It means choosing your inner compass over the noise, choosing your inner strength over the uncertainty, choosing your future vision over the current struggle. The world does not get to define you unless you hand it the pen. And the only way to keep that pen in your hand is by believing, fiercely and unapologetically, in who you are becoming. Self-belief also means accepting that you are a work in progress, and that progress is supposed to be messy. Too many people think belief means perfection, but belief is not about being flawless. It's about staying committed even when you are flawed. It's about recognizing your potential even when your present doesn't match your vision. It's about holding on to the promise inside you even when the outside world offers no evidence that you're heading in the right direction. Every great achiever you have ever admired carried their dreams long before the world saw their results. And the reason they kept going was not because they were always confident. It was because they never stopped choosing belief. And the deeper truth is this: nobody can give you self-belief and nobody can take it away. It is yours to build, yours to protect, and yours to strengthen every single day. Life will test it, circumstances will shake it, and people may doubt it. But every time you rebuild it, you become stronger than you were before. Self-belief is the quiet force that turns ordinary individuals into extraordinary stories. And once you understand that this power lies within you, the way you move through life will never be the same. Discipline is the invisible force that separates those who dream from those who do, and it is often the one ingredient people avoid because it doesn't feel exciting, glamorous, or instantly rewarding. Discipline is quiet. Discipline is repetitive. Discipline demands the parts of you that motivation cannot sustain. But discipline is also the one skill that has the power to rebuild your life from the ground up, because it asks you to rise above your excuses, your comfort, and your moods. It asks you to choose your future over your present feelings, and that choice, repeated consistently, becomes the foundation of every success story. People admire the results they see in others, but they rarely see the nights of sacrifice, the mornings of resistance, the internal battles fought in silence. And this is the truth many run from. Nothing meaningful can be built without discipline holding it together. Discipline is the promise you make to yourself, and it is measured not when life is easy, but when everything in you wants to quit. Anyone can be committed when life feels inspiring, when energy is high, when the path ahead looks clear. But discipline shows up in the moments when doubts whisper louder, when fatigue sets in, when distractions try to pull your attention away from what matters. Discipline is the decision to stay the course, even when the excitement has faded, even when progress feels slow, and even when results are nowhere in sight. It is the understanding that consistency doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it always feels right in the long run, because it shapes you into the kind of person who doesn't rely on circumstances to determine their effort. Too many people think discipline is about forcing yourself, but it is more about teaching yourself. Teaching yourself to choose structure over chaos, purpose over impulses, and growth over temporary satisfaction. Discipline trains your mind to follow your vision instead of your emotions, and that training is what turns ordinary routines into powerful habits. You don't wake up disciplined. You build it. You build it by doing the thing you said you would do, especially on the days you don't feel like doing it. You build it by refusing to negotiate with your excuses. You build it by recognizing that every small act of commitment strengthens your identity, your confidence, and your ability to trust yourself. Because the truth is, discipline is not just about what you do, it is about who you become in the process. Life will always offer you distractions, temptations, and shortcuts, and discipline is the shield that protects your progress from being destroyed by them. It's easy to slip, easy to delay, easy to say, I'll start tomorrow, but each delay makes it harder for you to move forward. Discipline keeps you grounded when the world pulls you in every direction. Discipline is what turns your time into something valuable instead of something wasted. It is what turns small steps into massive changes. And it is what teaches you that every action you take is a vote for the future you want to live in. What people don't often realize is that discipline is liberating, not limiting. It frees you from regret because you stop leaving your potential unused. It frees you from chaos because you replace randomness with direction. It frees you from doubt because you start proving to yourself through action that you are capable of more than you imagined. Discipline gives you control, not over everything happening around you, but over the most important part, who you decide to be every single day. And when you begin choosing discipline, you begin choosing a life that is shaped by intention instead of impulse. Every great achievement demands a level of discipline that outsiders may never understand, and that's because discipline is intensely personal. Nobody can do it for you. Nobody can drag you into growth. Nobody can force you to commit. This is why discipline is not just a skill, but a responsibility to honor the goals you set, the dreams you carry, and the future you want to build. It is the bridge between the life you have and the life you desire, and every step across that bridge requires you to rise above the excuses that once held you back. Communication is one of the most underestimated skills in life, yet it shapes everything, from your relationships and opportunities to the doors that open or remain shut in front of you. Many people assume communication is just about speaking clearly, but it reaches far deeper than that. Communication is about connection, influence, clarity, and presence. It is about how you express your thoughts, how you represent your ideas, and how you make people feel when they interact with you. Your voice, your tone, your energy, and the intention behind your words can transform a conversation, shift someone's perspective, and change the direction of your own future. Every successful leader, every impactful creator, every respected individual has mastered not just what they say, but how they say it, because they understand that words have power. Power to build, power to inspire, and power to move people toward action. Strong communication begins with authenticity. People don't respond to perfection, they respond to honesty. They respond to someone who speaks from a place of truth, someone who isn't trying to impress but to connect. When you communicate with authenticity, you give others permission to trust you, to listen more deeply, and to remember what you say long after the moment has passed. This doesn't mean sharing every thought or emotion, but it means aligning your words with your values, your intentions, and your character. Communication becomes more powerful when it comes from a place of personal clarity, when you understand why you are saying something instead of simply blurting out what comes to mind. Because communication without intention is noise, but communication with purpose can change lives, including your own. Another important part of communication is emotional intelligence, the ability to read the room, understand people's feelings, and adjust your approach based on the moment. You don't talk to a struggling friend the same way you talk to a confident colleague. You don't communicate with authority the same way you communicate with compassion. Effective communication requires flexibility, sensitivity, and awareness. It means listening not just to respond, but to understand. Listening is actually the most powerful form of communication, because when you listen deeply, you discover what people need, what they fear, and what they hope for. You find the right words not by guessing, but by paying attention. Many conflicts, misunderstandings, and missed opportunities happen not because someone said the wrong thing, but because nobody took the time to truly listen. Beyond emotional intelligence, communication requires courage. It takes courage to express your thoughts when others may disagree, courage to speak when your voice shakes, courage to communicate boundaries, dreams, or decisions that others may not understand. Many people stay silent out of fear. Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of sounding unprepared or unqualified. But the moment you silence your voice, you silence your potential. Opportunities favor the bold, the ones who speak up, who ask questions, who share ideas, who dare to express what others are too afraid to say. Communication is not about being the loudest in the room. It is about being the one who speaks with conviction. And that conviction comes from knowing that your thoughts have value, your ideas matter, and your voice deserves to be heard. Communication is also about influence, not manipulation, but impact. Every conversation is an opportunity to leave someone better than you found them. A kind word can uplift someone. A clear message can guide someone. A powerful statement can motivate someone. Communication allows you to plant seeds in the minds of others, seeds that grow into confidence, clarity, or action. And when you learn how to communicate with impact, you naturally become someone people trust, someone people follow, someone people believe in. But communication isn't only external, it is internal too. The most important conversation you will ever have is the one you have with yourself. The way you speak to yourself shapes your confidence, your decisions, and your identity. If your internal communication is filled with doubt, fear, or negativity, no amount of external skill will fix that. But when you strengthen the voice inside you, when you talk to yourself with the same encouragement you offer others, you build a foundation of self-trust that makes every outer conversation more powerful. Strong internal communication creates strong external expression. At its core, communication is the key that unlocks relationships, opportunities, and growth. It is a skill that improves every area of life because everything important in life requires it. Dreams need to be communicated, relationships need communication to survive, and success needs communication to unfold with clarity. And when you master the art of expressing yourself, you gain the ability to shape your world with your words, your presence, and your identity. Adaptability is one of the most crucial skills a person can develop, yet it is often the one people resist the most, because it requires stepping into the unknown, releasing the familiar, and embracing change before you feel ready. Adaptability is not about having all the answers. It is about having the willingness to adjust, learn, and reshape your approach when life shifts unexpectedly. The truth is, nothing stays the same. Not your circumstances, not your environment, not the people around you, and not the opportunities in front of you. Life moves, seasons change, doors open and close. And the only way to keep growing through all of it is by learning to move with it. Those who adapt turn challenges into stepping stones, but those who refuse to bend end up breaking under pressures they could have survived. Adaptability is not weakness. It is one of the purest forms of strength. From the moment you begin your journey, life will test your flexibility. Plans will fall apart, expectations will shift, and sometimes the very path you were confident in will suddenly disappear beneath your feet. But adaptability teaches you that when the path changes, your purpose does not have to change with it. You learn that there is always another way, another opportunity, another direction, if you are willing to open your mind and adjust your steps. Too many people remain stuck because they cling too tightly to how they expected things to be. They waste time fighting the change instead of learning from it. They repeat the same patterns, hoping life will bend for them, when in reality, progression demands that you bend with life. Adaptability is not about losing yourself. It is about letting go of the version of yourself that can't survive the next level. Adaptability also requires humility. The humility to admit you don't know everything, the humility to ask for help, the humility to start again when necessary. Many people fear change because they fear beginning again, believing that starting over means they have failed. But adaptability teaches you that starting over is not failure, it is strategy. It is choosing to redirect your energy towards something that can actually grow instead of forcing life to work the way you want it to. There is strength in knowing when to pivot, when to shift, when to evolve, and when to reinvent yourself. Reinvention is not a sign of inconsistency, it is a sign of wisdom. The ability to reshape yourself in a changing world is what makes you unstoppable. And adaptability is not only about reacting to external change, it is also about adapting internally. Your mindset must be flexible enough to let new ideas in, to unlearn habits that once helped you but now hold you back, and to challenge beliefs that no longer serve your growth. Sometimes the biggest shift you need to make is not in your circumstances, but in your thinking. When you adapt your perspective, everything around you begins to align with that shift. You start seeing opportunities where you once saw roadblocks. You start noticing possibilities where you once felt stuck. And you begin to understand that your ability to grow has always been tied to your willingness to change. Adaptability also demands emotional resilience, the ability to stay steady even when the ground beneath you feels unstable. Change often creates discomfort because it requires stepping away from certainty, and certainty gives the illusion of safety. But that safety can turn into a cage if you let it. Adaptability teaches you to find comfort within yourself instead of depending on your surroundings. When you become emotionally adaptable, you stop fearing change and start studying it. You learn how to remain calm in chaos, how to think clearly under pressure, and how to move forward even when the future is unclear. Emotional adaptability gives you the confidence to trust yourself in unpredictable times, and that trust becomes one of your greatest strengths. And one of the most empowering truths about adaptability is that it expands your life in ways you can't predict. Every time you adjust to a new challenge, you unlock new dimensions of yourself. Every time you pivot, you discover strength you didn't know you had. Every time you embrace a shifting situation, you create space for growth that would have never existed otherwise. Adaptability turns fear into curiosity, obstacles into possibilities, and unexpected changes into unexpected blessings. It teaches you that the world does not need to follow your plan for you to succeed. You simply need to be flexible enough to rise regardless of what the world throws your way. Emotional control is one of the most defining skills a person can develop, yet it is one most people struggle with because emotions are powerful, unpredictable, and deeply tied to our experiences. But the truth is, your emotions are not the problem. Your relationship with them is. Emotional control is not about suppressing how you feel or pretending to be stronger than you are. It is about mastering the space between emotion and reaction. It is about understanding that the first feeling you experience is natural, but the choice you make afterward is intentional. And it is that choice, repeated over time, that shapes your destiny. Life will constantly present you with moments that trigger frustration, disappointment, anger, fear, or doubt, but emotional control teaches you that you don't have to be ruled by the storm raging inside you. You can feel deeply and still choose wisely. There are people who lose opportunities not because they lack talent or ability, but because they lack the ability to pause before reacting. A single moment of uncontrolled emotion can destroy trust, damage relationships, or sabotage progress. But when you learn emotional control, you begin to see the power of stillness, the strength and patience, and the clarity and restraint. You learn that reacting in the heat of the moment rarely leads to the outcome you want, and that the strongest person in the room is usually not the one who speaks first, but the one who listens, evaluates, and responds with intention. Emotional control gives you the ability to rise above circumstances that once overwhelmed you, and it teaches you that your feelings deserve acknowledgement, but not dominion over your actions. One of the hardest lessons in emotional control is realizing that you cannot control what others say, think, or do. You can only control your response. People will misunderstand you, disappoint you, provoke you, and at times hurt you. But emotional control teaches you not to hand them the power to shape your mood, your day, or your direction. It teaches you that peace is not found in changing the world around you, but in changing the way you process it. When you stop giving others authority over your emotional state, you reclaim your power. Emotional control becomes a shield that protects your focus, your goals, and your well-being from being destroyed by temporary feelings or external negativity. And in a world filled with noise and pressure, that protection becomes priceless. Emotional control also requires self-awareness, the ability to recognize your triggers, understand your patterns, and know the difference between a momentary emotion and a deeply rooted issue. Many people react not because of what is happening now, but because of unresolved emotions from the past. But when you take the time to understand yourself, you begin to see your reactions more clearly. You begin to see when you're projecting fear, when you're acting from insecurity, when you're letting old wounds control new situations. Emotional control allows you to break free from those cycles and create new patterns that support your growth instead of sabotaging it. It gives you the space to choose who you want to be rather than letting old emotions dictate who you continue to be. Another important aspect of emotional control is learning how to redirect your emotions rather than letting them consume you. Anger can be turned into determination. Fear can be turned into preparation. Sadness can deepen your compassion. Frustration can sharpen your discipline. When you understand your emotions, you can channel them instead of being overwhelmed by them. Emotional control transforms your feelings into fuel, allowing you to rise stronger rather than sink deeper into negativity. It reminds you that emotions are energy, and energy can be guided toward growth, clarity, and purpose. And emotional control is not built overnight. It's built through practice. It's built by choosing the pause over the impulse, reflection over reaction, and wisdom over immediacy. It's built by breathing through the discomfort instead of exploding in the moment. It's built by challenging your own thoughts, by questioning the stories your emotions tell you, and by strengthening the discipline to act based on your values instead of your feelings. Every time you successfully control your reaction, you strengthen your emotional muscles. And just like physical muscles, emotional muscles grow through consistent effort, not through perfection. At its core, emotional control is a form of freedom. Freedom from being ruled by the rise and fall of your feelings. Freedom from letting temporary emotions make permanent decisions. And freedom from allowing negativity to dictate your direction. And when you reach that level of inner stability, you don't just survive life's challenges, you navigate them with clarity, strength, and resilience. When you look at the course of your life, the victories you've earned, the challenges you've endured, the dreams you still hold close to your heart, You begin to realize that everything comes down to the choices you make and the skills you cultivate before life forces you into moments you aren't prepared for. Self-belief, discipline, communication, adaptability, emotional control, and consistency are not just ideas for a better life, they are the tools that sculpt your destiny. They shape how you think, how you act, and how you respond when life becomes unpredictable. Every one of these skills carries the power to transform not just your circumstances, but your character, your resilience, and your future. And the truth is, life is not waiting for you to be ready. It is happening now, shaping you with every decision, testing you with every setback, and offering you opportunities disguised as challenges. If there is one thing you must understand, it is that these skills don't come alive in the easy moments. They grow in the difficult ones. They grow when you feel uncertain but choose to believe anyway. They grow when you feel tired but choose to keep going. They grow when you feel afraid but choose to move forward. They grow when you feel angry but choose to stay in control. They grow when you feel lost but choose to adapt. They grow when you feel discouraged but choose to stay consistent. Life does not reward the comfortable, it rewards the disciplined, the adaptable, the focused, the emotionally grounded, and the ones who refuse to give up on themselves. You don't need perfection to change your life. You need commitment. You need courage. You need the willingness to develop the skills that turn someday into now. Your future self is watching you. The version of you years from now, the stronger you, the wiser you, the more successful you, is depending on who you choose to be today. Will you let excuses shape your future, or will you let growth define it? Will you allow fear to silence you, or will you rise with clarity and strength? The choice is yours, and it has always been yours. Everything you desire, every dream, every breakthrough, every transformation is waiting on the other side of your willingness to build these skills before life forces you into a place where you wish you had. Time does not slow down, opportunities do not wait, and destiny does not pause. But you have the power to step into your future with intention, with purpose, and with unshakable strength. So take these skills not as suggestions, but as a call to action. A reminder that the life you want is still possible, still within reach, still waiting for the moment you decide that too late will never be part of your story. Your journey starts now. Your transformation starts now. And the world is ready for the version of you who chooses growth over fear, discipline over comfort, and purpose over hesitation. Rise, build, and become the person your future will thank you for. Let today be the day you take control of your story before it's too late.